Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Concerts That Made Us. I'm your host Brian, and as always, find us and follow us on social media. Just search for Concerts That Made Us podcast. Rate and review us on iTunes. It really helps the show grow. Subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, and your pod player of choice. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by signing up at patreon.com/Concerts That Made Us. Now that that's out of the way, my guest this week is Six Time Losers. Described as the band that country music didn't know it needed, they are intricate, organic and genuine. They are who they are, infectious with a distinct sound that creates die-hard fans. I really had a great time chatting with the guys and I know you're going to like it. So after this episode, be sure to check out their latest album, Only First Names Die. Now, without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Is it train that's running down our tracks. Oh, the only choice we've got left is to jump and never look back. Now never look back.
Hey guys, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
How's it going?
Good.
Hey, howdy. Good afternoon.
You're all doing well anyway.
Oh yeah, as well as we can go.
Good. So do you want to give yourselves a bit of an introduction there?
Well, I'm Butch. I sing, play a little guitar in Six Time Losers.
I'm Lester. I sing even less, play some lead guitar.
Otis Lee, play bass, do a little singing as well.
Great. I love that intro. I sing even less. So before we get into it, we heard your song East Coast Railway open the show there. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
That's a track that our good friend, our late friend Weston Williams wrote. I know that we're all kind of growing up, running businesses, running families, that kind of stuff. The band hasn't been as active in the last few years as in other years. Miller and Weston had gotten together a few times and were working on some tracks, and that was one that Weston had really been working on. Since his passing, we just wanted to find a way to honor him, and definitely wanted to include that on the record. And it's a track that just really speaks volumes. I think not just to that particular situation, but just to matters and issues that we all face in our everyday life, and with the pressures of life, and with mental health being a topic of concern and a topic of conversation, more so today than ever. Thankfully, we just wanted to, it's multi-level, but we wanted to get that track out there. And it's also a banging track as well.
That's also an important side of it.
Yeah, Weston and I had gotten together for like a co-write, and we each brought one song. We didn't like tell each other beforehand or anything. We both showed up with what is essentially a train song, I guess, and his was way better than mine. So like we just kind of pushed mine to the side, and yeah, I mean after he passed away, we just as we're getting into making this album, we were trying to figure a way out to honor him, and we just figured recording this song, the song that he wrote while he was a member of the band, was the best thing we could do to
yeah
get his work out there.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, we sure hope so.
So would you like to tell us a bit of history about yourselves, how you got together, formed a band, and about the early days of Six Time Losers?
Well, my mother met my father.
Where to begin?
Yeah.
That's a bit too,
I mean, it
early.
goes back almost that far, though. I mean, honestly, the three of us here have all been playing in bands together in some capacity since high school. I mean, Lester and I think we started our first band when we were in like fifth grade or something. We had a couple of rehearsals. I don't think we ever played any shows, but I mean,
We didn't get very far, but the seed was planted.
But yeah, basically we've been calling ourselves Six Time Losers since 2009. This kind of started as a songwriting project, and then we had so much fun like making the demos and everything and putting a band together. We were like, well, I mean, these songs are pretty good. Let's just be a band, kind of, that's where it started from, basically 12 years ago at this point, as far as this iteration of the band.
Yeah.
And where did you get the name from? How did you come up with that 6-time losers? It's very catchy, but it's an unusual name for a band.
And honestly, I don't know. I've read it both ways, but it's taken from Subterranean Homesick Blues by Bob Dylan. And I've read it as users, cheaters, 6-time users. He already said users. Come on, people. But also users, cheaters, 6-time losers. We just always thought that was catchy. We get all kinds of questions about how many times we've been married or been to jail, or if it has to do with numbers of people in the band. But no, it's just a throwback to, I know, what I consider, one of the greatest songwriters of all time, if not the greatest.
Yeah. Speaking of Bob Dylan, I have to ask, since he came up, he is one of the greatest songwriters of all time, but there's always an argument that he's not the best singer. How do you guys feel about it?
Different strokes, different folks. I mean, it's tough to say that, hey, this person is undeniably the best at anything, especially when there's such a broad spectrum of everything out there.
I don't really care to hear Pavarotti do Blowing in the Wind.
Yeah, that's true.
But I will get down on some 3 tenors, I mean, it's kind of, wouldn't it be? I mean, I'm sure he'd kill Blowing in the Wind. Don't get me wrong. But, there's just energy that goes to everything. And just, I feel personally that every man, go to Guthrie, just kind of that every man vibe, that every man feeling that is portrayed in the lyrics. It's not really, I shouldn't say portrayed, because that's not a portrayal. That's the man. That's the accurate caricature of the man. So it's just you get what you get from people.
Yeah. Personally, I like him. I wouldn't be mad about him. I wouldn't listen to him every day, but every now and again I throw on one of his records and I do enjoy it. I wouldn't be one of these diehard people that are crazy about him, or one of the people that are kind of, oh, he can't sing, he's not a great singer. Because after all,
are we talking about Pavarotti or Dylan? I'm just
Pavarotti, of course.
Hey, got you. You got me.
But yeah, no, he's obviously, he's made it to where he is, so he is well able to sing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you've written the caliber of song catalog that Bob Dylan has, you kind of just get the right to sing however you kind of feel like it,
Exactly. Yeah.
I actually was I was talking to my wife the other day about, I'm a big Billy Joe Shaver fan, and I think because Bob Dylan is a songwriter, all right, and Billy Joe Shaver is a songwriter who sings his songs. And I was listening to a particular track with her the other day, and he kind of warbles through parts of it, and purposely, you can tell, misses some notes, goes a little sharp, a little flat, does some like yodeling tricks, things like that, but kind of botches on purpose. And it used to aggravate me. And we were talking about it, me and my wife, and said, I think he almost does this to keep the songwriter aspect up. Like, I'm not a singer. I'm not up here singing these songs necessarily. I'm giving you my songs. I'm presenting these lyrics and this energy and this vibe that I'm trying to present. And it kind of, it puts the audience in a different spectrum, I think.
Yeah.
It protects the image of the songwriter.
Yeah. That's an interesting take on it. All right. It's, I wonder how many other guys out there are like that, purposely not singing perfect. But he is one of the,
maybe even subconsciously.
Yeah, true. I must mention as well, we have 3 of you here. There are other members of the band who aren't here with us this evening. Who are they?
We got Dayglow Red on basically all things steel guitar. He plays the pedal steel, does some dobro, some lap steel. He is probably, I guess the fourth longest tenured member of the band. He was part of that original band that we set up for that songwriter demo, 12 years ago at this point. And he's pretty much been a constant force throughout the entire time. Then we got Tom Pierce on drums. He's as far as Central Florida goes, he's kind of a local legend of sorts. He's just, if you're a top-notch country band in Central Florida and you need a top-notch drummer, I think you pretty much just call Tom.
I still haven't heard a bad take from him on anything ever. Just, it's always tight.
And then on saxophone, our newest member of the band, giving us some more lead tones, we got Warren. And yeah, I mean, I think when you're looking for a horn player, I mean, you just I don't know where else you find one, but we met him on Craigslist, and he's been great.
Right, I wasn't expecting that, I must say. Oh man.
You got a last name too?
I have to say, you all come together perfectly. It's a great sound. It's hard to pin it down into one genre almost, or it's hard to listen to you guys and say, right, they're definitely influenced by this type of music or that type of music. It's like a mix of everything. Who would be some of your biggest influences?
I was thinking about that on the ride up here. Even like right now, I listen to mainly hip hop in my free time. I mean, I'm listening to Christian hip hop like 24/7. So, at the same time, I love Billy Joe Shaver. I'm a big songwriter guy, big Pearl Jam fan. I love REM, U2, as far as like rock bands go, stuff like that. We listen to bluegrass when we work in the shop. Kind of like you said, I mean, we're just an amalgamation of styles, and also, as you alluded to, we really do come together well. I mean, we've been together a long time. We've been friends for a long time, and the constant grinding on each other and tugging everything and massaging everything into the the right fit.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the songs on the album, Otis threw down straight up Motown bass line and was like, yes, that's exactly what we needed on that. Didn't realize it, but so yeah, I mean, we're music heads. We all grew up listening to music. I mean, I think we've been influenced by everything from gospel to Danzig to Anti-Flag, all the way back to Ronnie Millsap.
Yeah.
We I'm sure you definitely hear a wide variety of influence in our tunes. I mean, growing up like in the 90s, our parents were still listening to that like 70s and 80s country and southern rock and stuff, so we obviously had that influence. And then Butch mentioned Pearl Jam, and the whole early 90s rock scene was a pretty big influence in most of our younger lives, I would imagine. And then, I mean, even through like, the angsty punk rock teenage years, so, all those great classics. But, basically, that's why we've really, full on adopted the Americana genre, I guess, at this point, because it really is the best description of what we do. I mean, it's just kind of a overall blend of any kind of American music you could probably think of.
Yeah, it's a great umbrella term, really. I've noticed you can throw everything underneath it and call it Americana.
We kind of shied away from it for a long time as a band, I feel like, because we felt like so many people used it as a catch-all. I mean, we considered ourselves a country band forever, but we always fell into that, too rock for country, too country for rock thing, I guess.
We were also young and angsty, like you
That's
said.
true.
And like, so for a while, like I didn't want to be John Denver, but I'll take being John Denver, right now.
Yeah. How do you, since you you've been a band for a good while. How do you compare being a band nowadays as your current age? I'm not calling you old now, you're obviously still pretty young, but at your current age compared to like being in your teens and forming bands back then with your friends, how do you compare it? What's it like kind of balancing your personal life with being in a band nowadays?
Personal life, we all got wives and kids now, so it's definitely a little different to, prioritize. Definitely not so much on my end anyway, not so much partying and boozing and, the late nights, like that kind of stuff. And, it's on the wayside. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, as kids, we'd all just pile into a pickup truck and, hit the road for 10 days, and we didn't care where we slept or, if we ate or anything like that. But, that's not really, once you get into the family life, that's not really an option anymore, so we still obviously really love to get out on the road and play. But yeah, we enjoy it in a different way now, I guess is how I'd put it.
Yeah.
And the time we do get to spend together is, you can all tell that in our time apart, everybody's getting better with their instruments, with their songwriting. Everybody's growing as an artist. That was going to be another word that I didn't mean to go so fancy there. An artist. It was like a Theo Von style there. But, everybody's growing, everybody's maturing as people and as artists. And so whenever we do get to come together, get to share some laughs, get to, catch up on the personal stuff. But the music, it's grown as well. And it's grown exponentially. The music's probably grown up a little more than I have, honestly. And we're all enjoying it. We're enjoying the journey, and can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah. It's great to see that you can keep the band going, because I know of a couple of bands in Ireland that when they were in their early mid-20s, it looked like they were going to make it, and then they met people, they settled down, got married, had kids, and eventually it just withered away. The band doesn't exist anymore, and they're working the 9 to 5. So it's actually great that you're that dedicated that you can keep the band going.
This band, I'm going to get misty. This band was built on friendship, and that's one of the themes of the record. So I really think that's the key ingredient to keeping the band going. And we've seen bands last for decades with members that weren't friends, that couldn't stand each other. But I'll tell you, as far as this band, we're all dedicated to music. We really are, in a sense. I know we're all dedicated to our families more. We're dedicated to our friendship. And honestly, it doesn't really matter where that lies in comparison to our dedication to the music, because the music is what comes from the dedication to our friendship, if that makes any sense. So it all kind of ties hand in hand,
Yeah.
Our families get it too. Music's been part of my family for generations. And my kids got guitars to play with. They got drums to beat around at the house. Like it's ingrained in all of us. We've all been doing music our whole lives, and it's not going to stop. We might have to take a little different route to get where we want it to go, but we still, our families get it too, that this is something that means a lot to us. It's what we work on. We work and then we do this. Yeah.
So safe to say you're going to be like the Rolling Stones. You're going to still be, playing and touring when you're in your late 70s.
If everything works out, that'd be awesome.
I'll be there.
Yeah. It'd be great.
I'll try to eat right until that point,
Fair enough.
Try to stick around that long.
Well, it'd definitely be something to see anyway. The songwriting aspect then, who is there one of you that takes control of that, or do you all have an input, or how do you approach the songwriting?
Yeah, I guess for the most part, Butch and I write most everything to this point. We try to get together as much as we can. We love to have as much input as we can during the writing process from other members. It does make things easier, especially when you have like drums and you're writing to a beat and stuff like that. But so far throughout our tenure, I guess Butch and I have written most everything. I'd say he's probably I don't know, somewhere on a 75 to 25 split. It's kind of weird. Like sometimes he'll write something, sometimes I'll write something, sometimes we'll get together and write something. Sometimes one of us will write half of something and give it to the other person. And then, obviously, other than East Coast Railway is really the only song we've ever recorded and released that one of us didn't write, and that's Weston's tune.
We're not trying to pay them crazy cover fees.
Yeah, fair enough.
Waiting on some
for
public domain. Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly.
I was working on the railroad. I had that one going. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna slay some like 40s blues records in 20 years.
You could go back to the 20s now, though, and start going through music from there. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few we could pull out of there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some of them that sound great, updated.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely. I mean, that's a side topic, but that's actually something that's going to be kind of interesting that I've always thought about. We're getting to that point where over like the next 20 years or so, artists are just going to have like free reign of some like pretty awesome songs. It's going to be interesting to see what people decide to do with that sort of stuff.
Yeah. As long as they're not ruined, I'd hate to see like.
I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen too.
More than likely. Like I'd hate to see like some sort of trance version of Johnny Cash or something,
Yeah, I mean, that's probably already out there, honestly.
More than likely.
Johnny Cash probably would have dug some trance Johnny Cash back in the day.
Probably, yeah. I could imagine him in the middle of a rave now, not knowing where he was and just, shirt off, bouncing around the place.
It's best that some of us are dropped into certain generations,
Yeah. The back to the songwriting then, is it the lyrics first, or do you come up with the melody? Do you try to tell a personal story with each song, or is it do you write from a character?
Absolutely not. Not giving away the secret. Not going to give away the secret.
That's fair.
No, it really though. It's I mean, for myself personally, I'm always telling people I'm really a syllabic with my writing, and I think even more so now, probably listening to so much hip hop.
Yeah.
I tend to hear a melody or a hook, and then kind of see how many syllables needs to be in that hook, and then dig into the lexicon to cover or convey the message that I'm trying to convey within that amount of syllables. There, I gave you the secret. You got it for free.
Now I can edit that out so no one else hears it if you want.
Hey, put it on YouTube. We'll monetize it.
We'll all be rich by next year.
All right.
There we go.
What about you, Otis? Is it a similar thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, it honestly, it's always kind of different. I guess mainly I probably write from more of like a folk perspective. It's more about like just finding those stories that I find like interesting to tell. And sometimes the melody comes first. Sometimes it's the lyric, and then I work it around a melody. It just kind of depends. And then a lot of times, even like, like I said, within a song, within our stuff, I mean, really, probably at least half of our songs is, some sort of a collaboration between Butch and I. Like, sometimes I'll just pass him some lyrics and be like, hey, I wrote this down. A couple minutes later, he's like, oh yeah, here's your hook, blah, blah, blah. We got a song. We're good to go. It's just, it's an interesting dynamic that we've always had. It's kind of cool how, some of our songs are like, very solitarily written, and then others are like very collaborative. But it's all 6-time losers, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that you can lay stuff down as just, hey, I got this guitar part, and you can record it on your phone, send it over. Sorry. And it's just, I don't know, you can bounce it off people real quick where you couldn't do that in the past. So It's half of the harmonies and stuff were kind of just done as we were listening to stuff going down the road, listening to the rough takes. It's like, oh, you know what? This needs to be here. This fits there. Swap this around, spice it up a little bit.
That's true too, because and the ability to songwriting is easier now with technology in all kinds of ways. It's just
yeah, for sure.
Because I'm always looking for approval. Always looking for approval. Constantly passing text back and forth, messages back and forth, audio files back and forth. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I mean, 3 or 4 songs on this record, the only reason I finished are because I had sent bits and pieces in text or messenger or whatever to buddies of mine, and they had listened to it and kind of, all right, well, you have to finish that song now. All right, gotcha. So it just not having to actually get together physically and sit down and have the old school songwriting session is really nice these days.
Yeah, that must have been actually very handy over the last 1.5 to 2 years with the pandemic. How did you approach songwriting and keeping the band going during the pandemic? I'm sure there was no live gigs and stuff like that.
We went to work every day.
Yeah, no, we have, I mean, essentially since everything, cold stopped here at some point last year, we haven't really played any live gigs. What's cool about that is it really gave us time to like really craft this record, do something we've always really wanted to do. We've had releases in the past and, we were happy with them, but as far as just everything from the writing to the arranging to the recording, production, just through the whole process, we spent 18 months basically making like the record we've really always wanted to make. So the pandemic definitely, it changed the entire entertainment industry, but, kind of in some good ways and bad, I guess. Like I said, it really gave us some time that we never really would have had to concentrate on doing everything the way we really wanted to do it, I feel like.
Yeah. The flip side of that, though, is do you find there's a lot more competition now that the pandemic is kind of over, that every band seems to have the time that, the time you had to really craft what they wanted to, and now there's like an influx of new music coming out?
I don't think that's really competition.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, there's definitely a lot of people that have had that time to sit around and work on their craft. And not necessarily in so much in the competition aspect, but there's definitely some stuff out there that you kind of have to wade through, to make sure you're putting yourself above that and make sure you're not just like every, bedroom recording that's come out in the last 18 months. Yeah. But that's, again, with the work and production value we've put into this particular record, it's just there's not really a whole lot that we got to worry about as far as comparison to that.
Yeah. This record was actually recorded in a pretty special place, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we recorded in several studios, but a lot of the major tracking was done at Capricorn Sound Studios, their historic Studio A, Macon, Georgia. All the like famous Capricorn artists through the 70s recorded there, from the Allman Brothers to Marshall Tucker. I mean, I'm pretty sure I think Otis Redding recorded there. I mean, just
Charlie Daniels fell off the couch or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Charlie Daniels fell off the couch.
Not while we were there.
No, not
while that's a shame.
Yeah, but they've actually it's crazy that the studio itself was really untouched from the time the building was closed, and it's just crazy. They brought in some great gear. API built them a custom console, and it's just like they just rolled right in. They really didn't have to do much on the studio side. But around that, they've done an amazing renovation of the building. There's like a full-on museum attached to it. So yeah, it's actually a really cool setup they've got there. I mean, by the time you go through the museum and the studio tour and all that, I don't know of many other studios with that kind of history where, the general public kind of gets to just like walk through during the week and get that up close and personal with it.
Yeah, it's very unique anyway. It must have been some feeling to actually, the first day walking in there. It must have been a real sort of pinch me moment where you're like, I actually can't believe I'm going in here to record a track where all these other legendary artists have recorded such great music, How did it come about that you were recording there?
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of just kind of a fluke incident. I'd been following the restoration of the studio, and I just kind of happened to see a post that they were, nearing the point of being open, and they were getting a lot of good publicity. Even like CBS National Morning Show did a piece on them and stuff. And I mean, honestly, I just kind of reached out to them like on a whim and was like, hey, we'd love to come record there. And they were like, all right, cool, let's do it. And yeah, it was just, obviously once we saw that was like an opportunity that we could go record, it's only 5 hours from us, and to get to lay down tracks in such a historic place, we figured it was worth at least reaching out to them. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they were honestly like nothing but helpful through the process, got us right in. Our first session there, I think, was like maybe 20 days after they opened or something like that. So, I mean, yeah, we were still like kind of working through some kinks and such, actually, they had Blackberry Smoke in like the next day, and they recorded like a 3-song live EP. So yeah, I think we were just like, probably helped us get in. They needed a full band test market, so like, oh, we'll use these guys, it'll be great. But hey, I mean, we took our chance to get in the door, and I think once we got in there, we made it clear that it was a place that we belonged, a place we I guess deserved to be, so to speak, or whatnot. We weren't out of our league by any means. But yeah, definitely an incredible experience to walk in there for the first time, for sure, and just see, like I said, it was really like going back in time. It's like really like you just walked into the 70s when you went in there.
I got to play Chuck LaBelle's piano, right?
Well, yeah, Chuck was the only person who had played it at that point. The piano track that you hear on Iron on the record, that piano had just been brought in like a week or two before, and the only other person who had recorded anything on it was Chuck LaBelle, Rolling Stones, Chuck LaBelle. So yeah, Butch was the second person to record on that right after him. So that was definitely a pretty cool, I mean, definitely a fun story to get to add to the album.
Yeah.
Just the vibes, like you mentioned, they're all over the place, man. You could, one thing that, I mean, honestly, the main thing that played into my part of the decision to, let's go ahead and go up there. Once Otis had let me know that he had reached out and it was available. Weston was a huge Allman Brothers fan. Personally, not the biggest Allman Brothers fan. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've given you my secret, and I've said I'm not the biggest Allman Brothers fan. Now, I would always mess with Weston about that, and just the energy all around from just between personally, knowing how much you'd enjoy it, feeling him there at the same time as we're laying down his track. It was a really special experience, and I know our mix and master engineer, I think he rode around listening to the drum tracks in his car.
Just drums.
Just drums, just for fun for a couple weeks.
It's so good, it's hard not to.
Because of how good the tracks came out there. It was a beautiful place. As Otis alluded to, just the history and kind of the untouched, unkept, not unkept, the fully kept nature of walking back in time. Like you said, I mean, everything was those reds and oranges and browns, like you can imagine, and all the familiar smells of the tape machines and all that old equipment. The story behind every one. I got to play I got to play some awesome instruments, messed around on the roads, and I think they had the Hammond there for us, stuff like that. Just things that I don't get to tinker around with all the time. So all in all, it's an experience. Yeah, we'll definitely always cherish.
What about you, Lester? How did you feel about it?
I was happy for them that they got to go take care of this. So I worked. I say, you guys do your thing. I mean, it was really just drum and rhythm and bass. Like, I don't do a ton with writing. I'm more on the melody and making the hooks fit and I guess spice it up, as you'd say. But this is one of the deals where it's like you said, we said, hey, can we get in? And they said yes. So we're just like, all right, you guys go handle this, and we'll start there, and then we'll move forward when we get back. But they did that. I stayed, kept things moving on the work front, and
Lester's more of the polish to the recording process. We kind of went in and did the work and got the rhythm tracks done, and then he gets to listen through all that and figure out where to put in all the fun bendy guitar parts that we can't play, and all the cool vocal harmonies and stuff he does. So a lot of it he's just listening to that bass that we give him, kind of a bass line recording, and he brings some of the fun from there.
Yeah I have to ask though about the piano. How long was it before you washed your hands after touching that? Was it like, I'm never washing my hands, I've just played this piano?
I actually to this day don't use silverware since that day. Haven't washed them and still only eat with my hands.
Right. Oh, there's another song on the album with a very special meaning, isn't there? It's about the Groveland Four. Now, I'll be honest, over in Ireland, I had never heard of it. I had to actually Google it and look it up.
It's not something they're shouting from the rooftops. I mean, I grew up about 30 miles away, and it actually involves a great uncle of mine. And I never heard about it until Otis brought me the story.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's kind of part of that song, is that in the last couple of years it's been national news in the US with the pardons and such. But us all growing up here locally, like, what we knew about that story is that you didn't talk about that story, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, but recently it's been the subject of a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. There's a film about it. There's a PBS documentary. So, we just like being something that is so local to us. And, as Butch was saying, like, he found out that a family member is actually like closely related to the trial, was a star witness for Thurgood Marshall. I mean, to like live your whole life with somebody so close to you, so involved in such a huge like national case, and like to just for none, to not know about that. It's just like, it was definitely something we wanted to just bring light to, like, from a local perspective, essentially.
Yeah. For any of the listeners, I've a lot of listeners now in Ireland as well as America, but for any of the listeners that haven't heard it, would you like to just give them a quick sort of what it's about, or what the Groveland Four actually is?
We tried to tiptoe. He's coming with the hard stuff, Otis.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing I'll say is, like, from the songwriting aspect of it, if you listen carefully to the lyrics, we didn't try to project any personal bias onto the story. We just we kind of laid out the facts. We laid out what is what. But yeah, basically this story goes back to the 40s, and it was really one of the first, like, kind of mass, like, even race riots is what it kind of evolved into. You hear a lot of the things, stories from the 50s and 60s, and this was kind of like before that, like something that just isn't really known. But essentially, some I mean, it goes through a lot of detail, but the Groveland Four were four black men who were essentially wrongly accused of raping a local woman who had a spat with her fiance or husband at the time. I think they were married at that time. But yeah, the details of the case, I mean, you can read all the redacted FBI files and stuff, and it's so crazy, like how loosely connected these four men were. Like, two of them were known to have been at, the scene of an incident that involved these two people that night. What happened between those four, I don't think anybody's ever really going to know. But two of the other people, one was already in police custody when the supposed incident happened. He was just arrested in town for having a gun on him in the train station and nobody knowing who he was,
Yeah.
So we know he didn't have anything to do with it. A second guy had actually already skipped town because his gambling racket had kind of blown up and some people wanted him dead anyways. So we know he didn't have anything to do with it. So, at that point, you gotta start asking a lot of questions about the whole story,
Yeah. It's a crazy story. And was it one or two of them were killed while in police custody? Was it one of them, I think?
Yeah, so two of them were shot while in police custody. So two of them were killed by police. The gentleman who had fled the town, essentially the day before this event took place, he was tracked down by basically like the sheriff and a posse of his friends, like over 100 men. They found him out in the woods and just killed him right there. No, no trial or anything. And then, the two of the guys who were being transported by the sheriff himself, Willis McCall, who was a sheriff here in Lake County for a very long time. He basically, all the facts point to the fact that he, staged a flat tire on the side of the road and took them out in the grove and shot them both. Unfortunately for him, one of them survived and, was then able to testify against him. Not that did anything to get him in any legal trouble or even not be the sheriff for 30 more years.
Are you serious? Oh, man. So after all that, he stayed being the sheriff, like. That's crazy.
That's how you can grow up 30 miles away and never hear about it.
Yeah, we went to high school in Groveland. So me and Otis did.
Yeah. Lester and I both went to high school in Groveland. It's our hometown, and it's just something that, like I said, all we knew about that story was that you didn't talk about that story essentially.
Oh my God. I'm sitting here thinking, like, it's crazy to think that something like that only happened like 60 or 70 years ago. But for you guys, not only did it happen 60 or 70 years ago, but it happened in your hometown. That must be it must really mess with your head.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one nice thing about it, I guess you could say, is that, not that everybody doesn't have a long way that they could still go to better themselves, but, you look at what we have around here now, and I mean, I'm sure glad I don't live here in 1940.
Yeah.
We've come a long way in South Lake County from where we were at that point, societally, for sure.
Yeah. It's there's actually a lot of music that seems to be inspired by stories similar to that. Like, one that instantly popped into my head was The Hurricane by Bob Dylan, about the boxer, and there's a couple of other ones now that I can't think of the name of, but it seems to really inspire great songs. And if you reverse it as well, great songs are great for telling the story and bringing attention to those issues. Like, even now, I didn't know about the Groveland Four before meeting you guys, and my listeners are probably going to be the same. So that's bringing more attention to that as well.
It's crazy out there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, that's something we wanted to do. Like I said, just draw attention to it from a really local perspective. It's just definitely, like I said, it's been national news the last couple of years, but to essentially tell tell it from some kids that grew up here, and it was always so hush hush, but we eventually wanted to, like I said, just I guess continue to bring attention to the fact that there's some crazy stuff that happened out there, and make sure that they say we don't want to repeat that sort of stuff. So
those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's what they had written over Jonestown, over the entranceway.
Yeah. We'll move on to the last couple of questions. I always ask every guest these. If you could see any performer from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
King David.
Right.
Let's see. Oh man. I mean, honestly, I my ultimate bucket list performance. I really hope I still get to see this. It's Loretta Lynn for me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, she's the tops for me when it comes to performers of just absolute historic proportion. Unfortunately, she's come to the area several times, throughout my life. Unfortunately, being a musician and also an audio engineer, like I just always have been working those weekends. It's never been something I can get to, but she's still doing some limited performances here and there. It's something I really hope I get to see.
Yeah, it'd be definitely a brilliant experience not to see her. She'd be definitely. I can see why she'd be on your bucket list.
You got a thing for Loretta Lynn? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, come on. We all know this. This isn't news.
Who do you want to see?
Stevie Ray Vaughan, probably number one. He's a big influence on my guitar back when. I never really had any formal lessons, so it's just, kind of heard something and was like, oh, this sounds pretty cool, and learn how to figure that out. But he did a lot, and I don't know, it was just, I mean, it's, there's not anybody else like it. So it's, him or someone like Hendrix, just that's, they take something that seems very basic and then just go way out in left field and then bring it back to where it started. And so, man, how did you even do that? But no, it's to see things from a different perspective. It got me to really think outside the box as far as playing goes, and what I could do versus what was traditional versus what was already there. And it's like, hey, you're supposed to do this, 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 and this. And here's why you don't have to.
Yeah. Great choices there, or great picks. The next one, if you could be locked in a room with any performer for history for 24 hours, who would you pick?
They gotta smell nice.
At risk of possibly taking Butch's pick, I don't know. I'm probably going to go Graham Parsons. I feel like that would be a really interesting 24 hours.
I was going to say,
I mean, I'd want the full experience. I'd go all in, like
that'd
24 hours.
17 hours.
Oh man.
You know what? I don't care if he stinks. Let's go Willie. I'll hang out with Willie for 24 hours.
That's not a bad pick.
No, not at all. That'd actually be really relaxing.
For strictly artistic reasons.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe some hair tips.
Man, yeah. I don't have a great answer, honestly. I said just strictly from an artistic standpoint, it would probably be Zach Wilde. He's big influence. I'm a big fan. And like I said, just our music choices come from all different directions. I mean, it's everything from that to Slayer to Willie Nelson, so
You guys would probably just jam and then like eat some red meat and then talk a little bit about some tough stuff and then jam a little more and go to bed. Yeah, that sounds good.
Try to do some push-ups maybe. I don't
Right.
know.
Well, it all sounds like a fun 24 hours anyway.
Right.
So,
I'm surprised you didn't pick Loretta Lynn though for the 24 hours.
Our wives are watching, man.
I see.
Yeah.
And the final one then, it might be a tough one as well. If there was a soundtrack to your life, what song would appear on it? I know this is kind of one that you need to go off and probably ponder for a while, but it's a tough one to just spring on you.
The soundtrack to my life.
I could probably email you a playlist in like 30 minutes.
It'd probably be something by mine would probably be something by NF, I would have to say. I don't know if you're familiar.
I can't say I am now, to be honest.
He's a rapper. Nate Forrest, I believe, is his name. But yeah, I would say probably something by NF.
Okay.
Immediate thought, Leonard Skinner, Call Me the Breeze.
Yes.
I don't know how realistic it is, seeing as I'm like pretty much every time I leave the house, I just can't wait to get back home and, no pants it for a while. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to change it whenever that song comes on.
I actually did say in a Facebook post one time that everyone's life would improve if they would constantly have the bass line to Staying Alive in their head. So I think I'm changing my answer. I'm going Staying Alive. All right, Otis.
Man, I don't know. I feel like it'd have to be something pretty chill if it was going to be like following me around all the time. Man, I don't know. I'd probably pick a Dylan tune. Honestly, probably. I don't know.
He's not the greatest singer.
Hey man, I can deal with that, I don't know. I'd probably go with like Blowing in the Wind or something like that, It's a nice chill background track, I feel like.
Yeah.
Still with a lot of meaning though.
Yeah, true. Again, more great picks. Before I leave you go, is there any message that you'd like to leave the listeners with?
I guess the main thing is just check out our record, Only First Names Die. It'll be available pretty much anywhere music's available digitally. It'll be out on November 12th. In the meantime, you can check out all of our website, sixtimelosers.com, Facebook, all that stuff. We've dropped a couple of singles, couple of videos. You can get a taste of what's coming your way in a few weeks.
Brilliant. Butch, Lester, any final thoughts?
Nah, man, it's been fun. Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
No
yeah,
problem.
what he said, love you guys. You guys love yourself, man. Be good.
Well, thanks a million for coming on. It genuinely was a blast. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise.
Your flag has fallen down.
Well, I guess we're done.
She said beers are $8. I said, but I'm with the band. Well, in that case, they're 2 for 2. She said, where are y'all headed? I said, we hadn't planned. Yeah, but I could sure get used to you. So I pulled out 8 quarters and asked for a pen and a napkin on which I could write. Well, I sat down and scribbled the Fayetteville waltz, and we played it that very night. Went like this. Yeah, we talked about our mamas, about growing up poor, and prayer meets on Wednesday nights. Well, I told all my stories, all the webs that I spun. Well, I guess she believed all my lies. Yeah, I told her that I never met no one like her, even though I'd said that before. We danced all night to the Fayetteville waltz. I left her heart on the floor, just like that. About heaven, oh, about going through hell, and having the key to death's door. We danced all night to the Fayetteville waltz, and I left her heart on the floor.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, rate and review us on iTunes. Really helps the show grow. You can find us on social media at Concerts That Made Us Podcast, and be sure to check out our website at www.concertsthatmadeus.com. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so by signing up at patreon.com/Concerts That Made Us. We've got 3 tiers available. If that's something you're interested in, you'll get access to a private Discord, exclusive uncut video versions of the podcast, early access to ad-free versions of the episodes, and much, much more. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.